First start. I don't want to see 359 for 9 is exactly what we feel. Pre-match day 2 is great to be here. Hopefully with a lot of runs by the end of the day, especially for the Indian batters. Hi amazing loser. What a good name. What a way to start off this live. Hi Roman Reigns.
Nice.
Hi Observer. You guys have very interesting names for your YouTube profiles is what I'll tell you. Hi Star Edits. Hi Vedank. It's great to be here. Vignesh. Hi Vignesh. It's been a while I think since you've been here. I like how our streams is no data. I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm hoping you guys can hear us all right. Am I the only one to see ads on a scheduled live stream too? Fortunately.
Guys, unfortunately, we have to monetize. Otherwise, we will not be able to bring you this good content.
Yeah. Hi, Fast and Furious. Yeah, even your name is pretty peculiar. If you're joining in for the first time, like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're joining in for the first time in our live or even for today's live, like that stream, like this stream, will help us push the stream to a lot more people. We have a lot of segments. We will talk about what India needs to do. We will talk about things to watch out for, players to watch out for. We have a stat page. We also have a very interesting technical analysis. Not a lot of
Yeah.
people talk about it, but it was on display, almost threatening Jadeja's wicket. So that is something to think about and talk about. Hi, Arif. Hi, beautiful Peacock. Rohit, Pranav, Shailesh, Lokesh.
Damn, bro. Crazy.
Robin.
Nice. Just the sequence of names.
Nails, alright. Hi, Kulveer Singh. I liked already. I appreciate that a lot.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully, a lot of you other guys would do it too. Rohit, hi, brother. Oh, there are a couple of Rohits here. Shailesh, looking forward to all the stats. Roman Reigns, I feel they won't utilize Jaddu and Washi well in bowling. Well, we'll get into the bowling bit in just a bit. Before that, let's
Yeah.
talk about the pitch.
All right. So, firstly, on the pitch, it's already not a typical edge baston pitch because it's already really good for batting. That's what I want to say. That has a lot to do with the conditions that we are seeing in England this time around, where there is a lot more warmth than usual, which is causing the pitches to be dry. Of course, you could have had the curators put grass, but because of the style that baseball works in, I think they've asked possibly to not put as much grass, and you can see that in the pitch. And it is today is probably going to be one of the better batting days. Morning session is going to be important. If it's slightly overcast, there is a chance for swing. I think it's standard at this point. We've been reiterating that overhead conditions will play a part. But if not, I think this is going to be a belter. This is possibly one of the best days to bat, if not the best day to bat in the test match.
Yeah, interestingly, the fast bowlers and the footmarks, it
Yeah,
will get darker and darker, and it
exactly.
was already dark yesterday. So,
And we already saw turn
yeah, we saw
yesterday.
stone, yeah.
So, which is also why I'm saying that today might be the best day to bat because from tomorrow it'll start turning more. The pitch will start cracking open. What I think, and days 4 and 5 do have a rain forecast. But yeah, that's mostly on the pitch. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's important for India to bat the first hour properly, and I should get into that.
All right, let's get into it. Nag Ravi, Wits against the Brits. That is what the Indian team needs to do against the team
England.
against England. Nag Ravi, you said you have tickets for day 4. That is fantastic. Hopefully, it doesn't rain as much on day 4 and you get a whole day of cricket. Hi, Akshay Krishnan. Right. Also, Fast and the Furious. I'm also an F1 fan. I just thought I should put it. Right. So, what should India do against England today? I mean, it's easier said than done. Bat for however long you possibly can. It's exactly what we talked about on day 2 of the first test match is bat for however long you possibly can. Except on day 2 of the first test match, we were hoping to declare, hoping to get a score of 600. Now, I don't think those conversations are happening today because we have 5 wickets down with Jadeja and Shubman Gill batting. So we will need to only hope to bat however long we possibly can. Now, that is easier said than done. There are certain things that Shubman Gill and Jadeja will need to do because we are again starting off with the new ball. The second new ball was taken yesterday and it's only a couple of overs old. They will need to be a little watchful because even yesterday with the new ball, there was a little bit of zip. There was a little bit of extra bounce. We saw a couple of deliveries jagging back into Yashasvi Jaiswal and even some keeping high. Karun Nayak getting out. So that is something to watch out for. I do say that even though the pitch will be flattened out a little bit because of the rollers, and I'm assuming the Indian batters and the Indian camp would go with the heavy roller to flat the pitch as much and as for as long as they possibly can. But still, the Indian batters in the first hour will need to be watchful. If anything, like Praatibh said, this might be a beautiful belter of a wicket, especially on day 2, after which the pitch might start getting worse and worse with more turn and more wear and tear on the pitch because of the fast bowlers' footmarks. But yeah, it's like I said, it's easier said than done. The only game plan would be, if we were to construct a game plan, I would hope we can bat until T. Like that's the hope. Somehow bat until T. And I say somehow because we have 5 wickets down the line. Hoping for no wickets to fall until lunch is almost a dream come true, especially with the way Indian batters go about batting on day two and the first session. So, if anything, the worst case scenario, lose at least minimum, not at least, minimum 2 wickets until lunch, and hopefully one of Jadeja or Shubman Gill stands. Even if we lose 2 wickets, I'm hoping Washington Sundar is still there by the end of those 2 wickets falling. And I think that should be the game plan, regardless of how many wicket falls. There should be a batter who can play more and long until T. And so you bat until T, and then you take the game forward from there. That's the game plan initially. Win to win.
All right, to win. What Gill's men need to do to win? Something that Ashwin spoke about, right?
It's the player to watch out for, brother.
All right, guys, I'm confused with my own names and I was caught off guard. So sorry for that. But yeah, dude. So there's a couple of things, right? Firstly, on the batting front, obviously Gill and Jaddu are out there, so you want to see how they do. There has been, or there was, a fair amount of scrutiny on Jaddu come that first Test match, and so coming into this Test match, especially having gotten in and having a couple of batting partners in Gill and then later on Washington, Jaddu will want to ensure that he can maximize on this particular knock. There's also stats that we have on him. He enjoys batting here. He's got a century here. And there's no reason why I don't think Jaddu can do the same today. And that's something that India will absolutely love. So definitely watch out for Ravindra Jadeja. Watch out for how he goes about his batting innings. And if it comes down to him bowling later on, that is also something to watch out for because he hasn't been in the best bowling form for quite some time now. And so there will be eyes on him. And the other two players to watch out for, Washi once again with the bat. Everyone on the internet, everyone in the Indian cricket community has their fair share of doubts with why Washi got in for Kuldeep. So he will have a point to prove definitely. Firstly, with the bat, because that's why he was brought in, is for his batting prowess. And later on, with the ball, if he can chip in with multiple wickets, especially because this pitch is aiding a little bit of turn. So, those are the two players. Lastly, and this is, I think this is expected, and everyone will look forward to how this player is going to go, is Akashdeep. He's coming in for a Jasprit Bumrah. He's coming in on the back of some good performances that have not necessarily translated into wickets, but he's shown that he can be consistent, especially now against Basball, where the challenge is going to be to not only take wickets but also contain runs. Akashdeep will be crucial. I don't know if he's going to ball today. If India gets bowled out, then 100% he will. But if not, then tomorrow definitely watch out for Akashdeep.
Perfect. Let's go to what's lit in Brit, and there are things to watch out for. A couple of things, by the way. Amazing loser. I think it was Fast and Furious who asked, "Can you ask a question?" Two things. Of course, you can ask a question. We will address it in the chat section. But
Yeah.
the best part about our community is the fact that you ask a question in chat, there'll be a lot of other people answering that question anyway. So you can always do it. I liked how Amazing Loser responded to that, saying, "Yes, you can ask a question." Supportive. And the other thing, we do have an event this Saturday, so you can see the pinned comment on chat, and the link is also in the description. So if you guys are in Bangalore from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have an event this Saturday where we will talk about Test cricket. There will be food, there'll be things to give away, but it'll mostly be us cricket nerds getting together talking about the game like we do on chat in the live stream. Except this is with people. This is with you guys when we can have a whole face-to-face conversation. So
And there's limited seats.
yeah, there's 50 seats. So register
We're
yourself.
almost out of seats, so register.
True. Register yourself and we'll have fun. But right, what are the things to watch out for? Of course, conditions. What's the clouds going to be like? What's the sky going to be like? How the pitch is going to play? But especially, like someone asked, is the pitch is the are the cracks on the pitch going to continue to bother Shubman Gill? That is something to watch out for. There will be cracks opening up, but more than anything, you can see the pitch darken up through the day, and that's because of the bowler's footmarks. Because the pitch is not as hard as it was in the first Test match, different grounds and all of that. But yeah, that's a couple of things to watch out for. What else?
From their perspective, I just want you to expand on the footmarks, and if
Right.
you can get into firstly how it forms, what
Right.
it does, how it impacts a batter, how it impacts a bowler.
Right. Interestingly, Michael Atherton was talking about how Arshdeep would have been a good candidate in this match because he's a left arm pacer, because of the angle he comes into bowl and how he can provide that footmark on the other end.
Right.
Now, so basically, what these footmarks are is when a fast bowler runs into bowl, he has a certain follow through. And when you see his follow through, he first runs on the pitch and then wants to get out of the pitch because those are the rules. You can't run in the danger end, that is middle of the wicket. And because a fast bowler does this continuously time and again, and because there are multiple fast bowlers, and because fast bowlers are going on doing this, including spinners, you can see dark patches on the pitch near the crease, leaving the wicket, in fact. And this is because of the continuous step on the pitch, right? And what this does is, because of this, the dark patches are formed, and because of this, there'll be a lot of turn and bounce from that particular phase. We saw this even in the first test match, where a lot of people are talking about why is Jadeja not hitting the rough. This rough was created because of the bowler's footmark, because the bowlers time and again step on the same place. There's a lot of wear and tear, and this rough is created for a spinner, and a spinner usually would want to bowl on that rough. And yeah, that's exactly what a bowler's footmark is. That's what, and how it impacts the batters is the fact that, when a spinner bowls it there, he will get a lot of turn, he'll get a lot of purchase, even if you're someone like a Washington.
True. Now,
And how it impacts the bowlers is the fact that you wouldn't, if you're going to bat next, you would want to keep avoiding those footmarks. You would want to get out of the pitch as soon as you possibly can.
almost think of it as the ball landing on a stone if you were playing gully cricket, and from there it can do anything. Now, I do see a couple of messages in the chat around England and their fast bowlers. There is an injury concern with Bryden Cast. He
Right? Yeah, he
did
was
have a small
limping.
niggle
Yeah.
yesterday. I also saw something on Josh Tongue, so I don't know if that is an additional thing or if someone's mistaken Josh Tongue for Bryden Cars, which should be the case. But yeah, that's another thing to watch out for, because if England don't have Bryden Cars, or England don't have Josh Tongue,
Right.
who last time basically cleaned the entire tail. His nickname is Mop because he mops the entire tail. But if either of those bowlers are missing, it could be good time for India to capitalize.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially with the bowler shot. But then you have Ben Stokes bowling more overs, and Stokes bowling is a whole other thing.
Then he
But
gets it.
yeah, I would have won that, to be honest. All right, let's go to quick wit in Brett.
All right, so we're looking at a couple of stats. We don't have too many because it's just day one. But the first thing, and this has to do with Jaddu, as I spoke
And
earlier.
being optimistic as an Indian fan.
Oh yeah, of course, 100%. The last time Jaddu played at Edgbaston is when he got his century, which is also his only test century in England. Jaddu was batting on 40 odd not out, and the pitch is a belter. He will want to make that 1 into 2 centuries now. So that's one thing he can look to replicate. The other thing is that there have been only 2 Indian captains who have even scored centuries in Edgbaston, which goes to show how much of a tough place this is for touring teams, and especially India. They haven't won anything here. But yesterday with Gill's century, now it means Virat Kohli as well as Shubman Gill have both scored centuries here, and both at number 4. And the last thing, not related to the test match, but there is a lot of conversation on how a lot of the pitches in England have gotten a lot better to bat at, especially if you think back to probably the 2014 series or even earlier than that. England was never this easy to bat in as it is today. Of course, you still have to apply yourself and get runs.
And also, we have got 600 and stuff
We
in
have got
England before.
600, yeah. But the proof that the pitches have gotten better is right here, where England have scored, sorry, not England, the county teams in this week's county cricket have scored 4,500 runs across the first innings. Now, of course, that's inflated because Surrey got their highest ever score,
800 and odd, whatever.
Yeah.
There were, I think, 200s and
a triple hundred.
yeah,
Dan
Dom
Lawrence.
Sibley's. Oh, yeah. There was Dom Sibley scoring a 300.
You'll have to check that.
One of
But
them.
yeah. But yeah, so that's on the stats. I mean, it's consistent with how the pitches are getting better. It could have a lot to do with.
Oh my God. I apologize. Let's go to the technical tidbit. And this is what I wanted to get into. And this is very old school stuff. Right? So if you see Jadeja's defense against the spinners, there was also an LBW appeal yesterday, which was umpire's call, mind you. We were very, very lucky with umpire's call yesterday. But this is something to talk about, because after that appeal, Ravi Shastri also talked about this. And I thought it was pretty interesting to bring it up today, because Jadeja will take the field with the bat, and Shoaib Bashir wouldn't be too far away from taking the ball as well. Now, if you look at Jadeja's defense, it's very pre-DRS. And now when I say this, it basically means that a lot of old school batters would have the defense, when they play the defense, they would have the bat beside their pad. Now, this is pre-DRS, because usually if things were pretty close, the umpire would be reluctant to give it out, because they would always assume that, hey, the bat and pad are really close. So if anything, the ball would have hit the pads. The ball would have hit the bat. And that's why the umpires would be reluctant to give an LBW appeal out. And this is pre-DRS because you would usually get away with it. But now, when you look at a lot of batters play the defense against the spinners, you would see the bat ahead of the pads because you wouldn't want, because you basically want to avoid the ball hitting your pads. Because the second it does that, the umpires are more hesitant to give it not out, so they would usually give it out. And this is something Jadeja hasn't really worked on. It's something that's bothered him for a very long time. He's gotten out against spinners LBW in a lot of series, especially at home last year and in the last couple of years. It is something he should look to improve on, especially if he wants to continue playing the test format, of bringing his bat ahead of his pads and making sure his defense is solid anyways, but making sure his defense is solid enough that where even if he's not able to middle the ball, it at least edges the bat and not hits his pad and then gets LBW. But yeah, just an interesting observation when you look at Jadeja play the defense today. You will mostly see him do this, plays have his pad beside the pad, unless overnight they've had a discussion and he can change it overnight, which is kudos to him. Addressing your chits, and that's addressing the chat. All
Chat,
right.
what's up?
Pace battery or glass factory? Whoa. I don't know.
This is supposed to be because of their injury prone nature.
Is it just me or is the audio out of sync? Right. Audio out of sync would be,
Internet.
yeah, would be an internet thing
Yeah.
because there is an sync issue which we have adjusted. I'm adjusting Praatibh. But right. Is this pitch gonna behave the same as Headingley?
Very likely, yes. I do think it will offer more to the spinners and it will seem more. But more than that, I think the trend in which it's going to play out is the same, where it'll get better for batting up till day 3 and then it'll start deteriorating.
Right. Fast and Furious. Is there a huge difference of how Kohli and Gill get runs? Yeah, of course. They're two different batters, two teams, two different situations. Yeah, there's a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference with how Jaiswal and Gill get runs. Two batters, the way they go about getting runs is quite different. Except if you look at similarities, if you were to look at similarities, one thing is Shubman Gill, even though he has the power game the same as Virat Kohli, for the longest part of the innings, they would play along the
Along the
ground
ground,
as
yeah.
much as they possibly can. And that is an observation. Of course, Gill did charge Bashir, losing his patience. That is something you wouldn't have seen Kohli do
Yeah, true.
for the longest time. But it's something Shubman Gill will learn with test experience. And yeah, Virat also had to learn with test experience. So the only reason why a lot of hundreds are being scored in county cricket is because of the use of Kookaburra ball rather than Duke's ball. Umang, that is also
That is a
absolutely
good
true.
point. Yeah.
Which is the most bizarre thing to do, by the way.
Every time they've tried it, it can't
Yeah.
seem to work.
And
Yeah.
it's to prepare for the Ashes, except, yeah, the pitches and everything are completely different. So, like, why? It's a whole other conversation.
True.
Why can't we produce more paces? It's just the pitch or bad grassroots coaching. We produce a lot of fast ball.
I don't think there's a problem with producing fast bowlers. It's how you groom them once they've reached a certain stage. Because the MRF Pace Foundation is doing a great job at. So, I mean, a lot of Varun Aaron, Amit Yadav are all from MRF Pace Foundation.
Yeah, pace. I don't think, yeah, the production's the problem. I think it's the making the final product that might be an
Yeah.
issue.
And also taking care because the likes of Kamlesh Nagarpati, Shivam Mavi, Umesh, sorry, not Umesh, Imran Malik,
Mayank
they've all
Yadav.
been, Mayank Yadav, they've all been very injury prone. There's something that's missing there.
What save score considering our bowlers are not up to par without Jassi Bahana fielding isn't that good to support our bowlers. I think the fielding bit,
There's a
I
blip.
hope it's a one test match thing. But what do you think is, again, I don't think it's a score thing. I think it's batting time. I think you're just bad as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm sure you still need to get. I think 500 is a. Honestly, I don't even think
From
500.
here, 500 would be nice.
Yeah, would be nice. But even after India get 500, like with this baseball team, I cannot guarantee that India
Yeah.
won't lose the match. So that's what they've done.
What's your magical number which India needs to get into your driver's seat? I mean, I don't know about driver's seat. From 310 to 5, if India get 500, that's solid. And you,
Yeah, India will also take that. Like even psychologically, for the last 5 wickets, still contributing 200 runs.
yeah,
Crazy.
that's insane.
Yeah.
For India,
For the last 5 wickets, that averaged 14 since 2024.
Jaddu just trying to rotate strike rather than facing balls. What do you think about that? I don't think he was avoiding facing balls. I think rotating strike is great. I think Jadeja has struggled quite a bit with that initially, starting off with I don't think struggle. I just don't think he looks to do that. But yesterday he was. He also hit a couple of boundaries on the start, which was honestly good to see. I think problem is consistent pacers suited for test format. Most of our bowlers just don't hit the length consistently is what you're trying
Hmm.
to say. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. But that's also an experience thing, right? I think someone like an Anshul Kamboj would have been great, and someone like an Akashdeep is great for that reason because he's put in the hard yards for multiple years in domestic cricket. So he knows that even when nothing's happening,
Yeah.
he just needs to hit line and length.
Who should be the aggressor in the partnership, Gill or Jaddu? I think no one. I think they should just play their game, take their time. They should bat the way they did yesterday. I don't think anyone needs to be an aggressor on day two of the first inning. I think there's a lot of time for that.
Plus, I think if they watch out the initial spell, then the way both of them bat, they are already going to go at a good clip, just natural stroke play.
Bro, you guys are using webcam or any camera? Please don't ignore if webcam. Please tell. No, we're not using a
Not
webcam.
webcam.
Right. Players like Mayank Yadav, Umran Malik barely plays 3 matches and then gets injured for the whole. That's
Exactly.
true. I mean, it's
Exactly.
the whole thing to consider and talk about. We'll take a couple more questions as there isn't much really in the pre-match today apart from how you would just hope that India bats for a very long time. We don't have the best of records starting on day two. We usually crumble down, especially in the last 5 wickets. But having said that, there's a reason why they've picked Washington Sundar. So even after Jadeja, Sundar comes into bat. I just hope when the first wicket falls, it's not Shubman Gill.
And I hope it's not tumbling monkey.
Yeah, eat that both actually.
Yeah.
Hi Sudarshan. Hey,
Hello.
should Prasid go for bouncer plan right from the start? Your thoughts, please. I don't think he should do that right from the start.
He should, I mean, if he's getting some purchase around good length, use that. But yeah, like if it's not working, whatever he has to do to not go for 6 runs per over.
Yeah, true.
That's one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first thing to think about. India versus England. Who produces best glass cannon, guys? I think India. They've had more injury-prone fast bowlers. They've had two for the last 10 years. I mean, they have quite a few injuries. Ollie Robinson got injured.
I think Atkins is also out.
Atkinson got injured. I mean,
Archer. I mean, he's not English,
Archer
but
and Wood.
good too, yeah. Damn, they could have had a Indian bowling lineup.
That's true. What should be a good first inning score for India? We've talked about this. At least 500. Number 3 position is a nightmare for India since Pujara left. Absolutely. Wait, who will take the new ball? I think it should be Siraj and Akashdeep.
Yeah, agree. 100%.
The pitches are more geared towards the spinners in India. Pacers don't get the accessibility. With more franchise cricket, it's definitely going to open up the opportunity for pacers to improve. Observer, you have made a very good observation. I'll tell you that much. But to be fair, a lot of pitches in the north aid fast bowlers, especially because of the conditions. They are in the hilly regions. Ball do swing quite a bit. I mean, if you look at the fast bowlers from India, Jasprit Bumrah, Siraj, it's from Hyderabad
Siraj
actually.
Hyderabad.
But like Arshdeep Singh, who else?
Akashdeep is from
Akashdeep.
West Bengal.
Yes.
Shami is from West Bengal.
So-
So, where the winter is a little colder.
You do get swing. Shubman Gill needs to score a 200 for India to do well. This is something to actually talk about and think about, and this is why we'll end things. Even if India are, let's say, 380 for 5 or 400 for 5, I don't think they should simply start attacking like they
Oh,
did
yeah,
in
yeah.
day 2 of the first test match.
True.
Just because we had the score, it doesn't mean you simply throw a bat at things and lose your wickets and then realize, hey, you didn't score enough. And I think we do have a tendency to do that. Even yesterday when Gill and Pant were batting.
We do.
Yeah, Pant was just in his 20s, but both of them were taking risks. I mean, a four shot percentage of 6% for Gill is absolute insane. But there were moments where he was taking risk, and I thought, like,
Not
just
called
because
for.
things are getting easy doesn't mean you should go for it. And yeah, that is something. Sudarshan, do you see India batting 2 more sessions? Which is what we talked about. I think that should be the goal.
That should be the goal, yeah.
Do we see it happening historically? No.
No, I think the first target is for India to not lose a wicket in the first hour. From there, the lunch, and then after that, we.
All right. All right. So this has been a pre-match of the day 2. We will see you guys post-match 11, 11:30, 10:45, whenever the day ends. A reminder, we have an event coming this Saturday. If you guys are in Bangalore, register yourself. It'll be a lot of fun. It's just 149 rupees because...
Kohli scored a century at Edgbaston. It was 49. Whoever is registered, we've also sent payment links. Try and clear the payment quickly because we need money.
All right, so that's been our live. Thank you guys so much for watching it all. It's always great to see the support. 85 people on a Thursday afternoon is always great. So
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
thank you guys so much. We will see you post-match with a lot more analysis, a lot more technical bits, and a lot more stats. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.